Hello, welcome to the second part of Lecture 13, which is service marketing. And this is the most important table of the chapter. And please study this really well, not because I may take some questions from here for the final exam, but also this summarizes the services characteristics and resulting marketing challenges, which you have to address if you work in services. But even if you work in production, there are some parts um, uh, which there is some level of intangible uh, goods in your products that you have to uh, plan carefully as a marketer. Uh, we're gonna talk about development of services next. So the characteristics of services create marketing challenges and opportunities, right? So as we said before, there are challenges, but they also present opportunities for you to excel. So there are more ways for you to surprise the customer. There are more ways to uh, impress the customer with your services. So services generally come in a bundle, just like products as well. There's core service, the basic service experience a customer expects to receive, and supplementary services, one or several supportive services used to differentiate the service bundle from competitors. For example, in Starbucks, uh, Howard Schultz of Starbucks, president of Starbucks, is famous for saying that uh, they do at Starbucks they do 1,000 things differently. So which is very hard to copy. So that's why Starbucks remains to be the largest coffee chain. So there is a lot of creativity involved in development of marketing and developing supplementary services. So we talked about heterogeneity of services. So this allows for customization, which creates a competitive advantage, right? So a special, like we talked about barbershop before. So special way to treat the customer. So you study the customer's needs and preferences, and you can customize it, which is more difficult in production. So when it comes to distribution of services, marketers deliver services in a variety of ways. You can go to service provider's facility, or services may be provided at customer's home or business, which is becoming more popular. Uh, for example, let's take a look at United Parcel Service. This is one of the leading delivery companies in United States and worldwide. Even the phone number suggests that you don't have to go um, to their facility. The phone number is 1-800 pickups or pick UPS. It can read two ways, right? So very very smart. I haven't seen a better call center number of companies. It's very smart. Our companies in Uzbekistan, they don't use this type of phone, picking the phone number. If you look at your phone, under each number there is there are several letters, right? So by just instead of remembering a phone number, you can just after 1-800, 1-800 is free, toll free. All toll free numbers in US, they start with 1-800. So it's standard, so everyone remembers that. But pickups, you just you don't have to remember the numbers. You just press uh, the letters which are on the numbers, you just writing it, you are uh, pressing letters, not numbers, but the phone records it as numbers, right? Try it. So even though I haven't used UPS in a long time, because it's, we are in Uzbekistan now, I remember this phone number. I remember it for life. And because it's so meaningful and it's so relevant to what they do. So wherever you are, you call the number and you tell your address and what you would like to ship, and one of these brown trucks or light vans, they will show up at your office or home, and they will pick up your mail to be sent anywhere in the world, which is very convenient, and they don't charge for it, right? So when it comes to promotion of services, intangibility results in promotion-related challenges. So tangible cues are a typical way to promote services. Uh, Service marketers are likely to promote price, performance documentation, availability. I would like to recommend you this book. It's a class. It's a classic marketing book by uh, the former professor of Harvard University, Theodore Levitt. It's called The Marketing Imagination. I have a hard copy of this, and I reread it several times. So in his book, Professor Ted Levitt, while talking about services and product, the challenges of marketing products and services, gives a very good advice on how to promote or how to increase the value of services and products. So he says, if you are a service marketer, then in order to promote it, in order to make it more attractive, more valuable to customers, you should add more tangible things. You know that services are intangible, so the way to promote your services, or the way to differentiate your services, is to keep adding tangible things. Like in the case of a lawyer's office, we talked earlier, you know, this lawyer's services are intangible, but you're adding, nice suit and tie. Your office interior looks impeccable. The books in the background, the diplomas on the wall, and the business cards and the nice business card holders. They all increase the value of your service, and they help you differentiate it, help you promote it. And the opposite is also true, according to Professor Levitt. So if you are a product marketer, then in order to differentiate it, you have to keep adding more services to it, more intangible things. Like if you are a Samsung or Artel, which is Uzbekistan's major producer of electronics and household uh, equipment, like it's called white goods. So you add delivery, installation, warranty, services, call center, and all that. So it increases the value and differentiates your product in the market. So when it comes to pricing, you should consider consumer sensitivity, nature of the transaction, and your cost, of course. So prices can be based on performance of specific tasks, time, and level of demand. So, we talked about theaters earlier, like especially movie theaters nowadays. They price their services differently because, they try to level the demand in such a way that, some people who have time during the day, they come um, during the day, and because the shows during the day are especially priced cheaper than the evening times. Otherwise, most people would come during evening times. So that's why we talked about the level of demand. Okay, so consumers often rely on price as indicator of service quality. Keep that in mind, and market conditions may limit how much can be charged for a specific service. And besides, some state and local government regulations may reduce price flexibility. So, we don't have Starbucks in Uzbekistan, but there are more coffee shops nowadays in Tashkent city. And one of owners of such a coffee shop called Book Cafe, Lazizat Hamov, has a video on M Factor on YouTube about in Uzbek language, of course, about selling coffee at expensive price, at a high price, right? So if you are interested in learning uh, coffee shop marketing, coffee services marketing, then I highly recommend that. Service quality is quite challenging part and quite subjective. So it deals with customers' perceptions of how well a service meets or exceeds their expectations. So customers evaluate service quality every time they interact with the service provider. So it's important for marketers to determine what customers expect and to meet those expectations. They look at when they evaluate, we can divide service quality into three types: search qualities, experience qualities, and credence qualities. So search qualities are tangible attributes of a product: size, feel, or fit. But experience qualities are things like taste, satisfaction, pleasure during purchase or consumption of a service. And credence qualities are attributes that customers may be unable to evaluate even after purchasing and consuming a service. So take a look at Pizza Hut, for example, right? So it's the service provider, right? So this it contains, so when you're buying their pizza, you're not only looking at the taste of the pizza itself or the how hot it is, but the treatment of delivery guy, cleanliness of the vehicle which delivers it. So all affect your evaluation of service quality. So the intangible nature of services is the largest obstacle to evaluating service quality. So it becomes more subjective. So that's why service quality is sometimes the only reason a customer chooses one service over another. For example, there are so many Korzinka supermarkets in town when on my way from work, but I, prefer certain Korzinka stores over others, even though they have the same, uh, almost the same assortment and the same arrangement of the store. Because I think that some Korzinkas provide better service, I'm more likely to stop by there. So this is also very nice summary of dimensions of service quality and with some examples. Please spend some time to study this table carefully, not only because I may take some things from here for final exam, but also you may use it in practice while planning your services, while managing your service quality. So companies must try to provide exceptional service quality. So providing consistently high service quality is of course difficult. Four factors affect service quality. So you have to know your customer expectations really well. You have to make sure specifications of service quality. Employee performance is very important, so you have to train them really well. And management of service expectations through your advertising, through your general communications, very important. I would like to recommend you another book on services marketing. It's also a classic book written by the CEO of Scandinavian Airlines. It's it he coined the term, Jan Carlson. He coined the term moments of truth, right? So he calculated that, for example, in airline contacts, airline communicates has a 12 about 12 touch points, and he called those touch points moments of truth, meaning that by doing your best at those 12 moments, you can show the high quality of your service. For example, when you are booking a ticket, and then when you are checking in your luggage, when you are boarding the plane, when you are being seated, when you're being given some refreshments, and so all he calculated that on average, airline communicates face to face with the customer, each customer about 12 times, and he paid a great attention to working on those touch points, improving quality of those interactions. So customers have two levels of expectations, desired and acceptable, and between those two are zone of tolerance. So customer contact employees are in the best position to learn what consumers want. Seth Godin, another top marketer in United States, one of the top marketers in the world, he calls customer contact employees your ambassadors, right? So they represent the company in front of the customers. So you have to treat them accordingly. So as we said earlier, an organization must set goals to ensure good service delivery. And the most important aspect of service quality specifications is managers' commitment to service quality. Managers are role models for all employees. In many uh, American, top restaurants, top-rated restaurants, the waiters are so good because the owner or the manager himself is the best waiter, right? So sometimes he might leave his office, leave his desk, and do the waiter's job and show how it is done to everyone, right? So managers have to be role models for all employees in services. You know, when I was a graduate student in the United States, I worked in a limousine company in Chicago um, for several months. After classes, I used to work um, in limousine company, and we underwent quite intensive in-class and on the field training, right, in order to provide quality service. For example, we underwent this training system called Smith system, which very few people in Uzbekistan have ever heard. So it's a special system to train uh, limo drivers, truck drivers to it's one of the most advanced systems for driver training, professional driver training. So once I was taking several customers in my stretch Lincoln Town Car limousine to the airport, and when the customers were getting off, one of them said that he was a Smith system instructor, and I followed the system so well on the way to the airport, and he gave me high five. So I felt really good about that. So he was like a mystery shopper for me, unplanned mystery shopper for me. He just was so sincere. He thanked me for my driving and for my safe driving. Uh, so there must be some systems in place, some standards in place. Also, besides that, we paid a lot of attention to cleanliness in the car. So Smith system doesn't cover that, but as a part of the limo training, we underwent this training as well of keeping the car clean. So we had a special pass which we bought for $25 for a month, so we could have unlimited car washes because the car had to look impeccable both inside and outside when customers order limousine. So we washed our cars and we vacuumed our cars several times a day. So customer contact employees are often the least trained and lowest paid, unfortunately. However, as we said earlier, they are the most important link to the customer. They are the ambassadors of your company, of your corporation in front of the customer. So they should be well trained. Evaluation and compensation system is important to employee performance. So, don't design them from scratch. Look up how leading companies worldwide doing this. Try to implement best practices. So service companies must set realistic expectations about their services and deliver on promises. This is when we say about expectations, this is about advertising and communication, both internally and externally. Word of mouth from other customers shapes expectations, which is hard to manage by organization. Nowadays, thanks to social networks, this word of mouth has become word of mouth. So people just type in their impressions online. This is the summary of what we talked about: analysis of customer expectations, service quality, specifications, employee performance, management of service expectations, and which result in service quality. You have to think about tangibles, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, and empathy. Okay, how are we doing? We have a few more slides left. Let's again pause it here because after this slide we're gonna talk about non-profit marketing, which is also in the area of service marketing.